Motivate. Right, okay, yeah. I always used to get into trouble for this. Prostitute. I'm a country boy. I live in Devon, in southwest of England. When I go to London, I'm reminded of that old Billy Connolly joke. When he arrived in London, he says, a little guy from the islands of Scotland, he says, excuse me, is that a skyscraper? And the guy says, no, it's a pillar box. I'm a little bit like that. So when I go to London and I go into the telephone boxes and I see all these cards which are there, I'm shocked, but also inspired. Because the one at the top is the one you might see, a French mistress, highly recommended. Services include nurse, nun, teacher, baby, dominant or subservient, your place or mine, full equipment, portable, escort service facility, satisfaction guaranteed. So I went around putting my own cards in the rooms. Business English teacher, that was a photograph from 1990. Qualified and experienced. Services include actor, priest, salesman, expert, dominant or subservient, R-Centre or in company, full technological support, status symbol service, references available. So we are prostitutes. What would you like me to be today? How am I going to behave? What do you want? What equipment do we need? All of this sort of thing. You're paying, I will do what you want. So, it's very difficult to find something for prostitutes. Is that okay? And male or female prostitute, I hasten to add very quickly. So we're back to anatomy of a business English teacher. Salesperson. We have to sell what we do. We have to sell our profession. We have to sell our skills. We have to sell our course. You may think that you want to study the 5 conditionals, but actually what you really need to do is to be able to talk to somebody over dinner. You don't really need to get it absolutely right. Conversely, you're talking wonderfully, but nobody has a clue what you're talking about. We need to get the grammar right before you move on to higher things. We have to sell what we're doing, our position, and our course. Wrong visual aid. And of course, we're international salesmen as well. Troubleshooter. Back in the 1990s, there was a man called Sir John Harvey Jones, who used to go around the companies and tell them what they were doing right, what they were doing wrong. We have to do that, especially if we're working with major clients in company. We're saying, yes, you've been doing things like this for 20 years. It's not the right way. I can suggest this method of doing it. I once had a consultancy job with a large, how can I put this? A large Fiat automobile company. And they said, we're happy with the status of the language trainers we've got. Everybody's very happy, but we're not getting very much progress. Could you check? On the first day, I discovered that they had absenteeism in their classes of 88%. Nobody had checked because the teachers were happy, they had their feet up. The language training organisation was happy, was getting paid for nothing. Students were happy because they didn't have to go to lessons and nobody told on them, they could get on with their work. And even the language training manager knew about it, but didn't tell anybody because she was worried about her job. So sometimes you have to go in and troubleshoot a situation. John Harvey Jones was also famous for wearing very loud ties. And finally, consultant. As consultant, we not only go into situations that are going bad, but going into situations that are going well, and advise on that. Sometimes we're brought in as an outside influence, where we can say things that inside people can't. Whether we're treated as a consultant is another question. Very often we're treated as a hired hand. But I think we need to be consultant as well. So this is sort of tying up with what Ian said about all the different levels of skills, and also about what Rita and Duncan said about not being paid adequately for what we do, for underselling ourselves. There you are. The Anatomy of a Business English Teacher, 1990, Charlie. Do you recognize yourself in that person over there? We then looked at all the different roles, different personal qualities, skills, and common and used methods in those different roles. So the future of ELT. David Gradle argues that English is being positioned as a generic learning skill. We are in threat because it's not going to be a special skill to teach English. It's going to be expected. Children are learning English from the age of 6 in most countries. So being an English teacher is not going to be enough. English, as was said by a French politician, is the same as bread and butter. We need it to get through life. Business knowledge. If anybody could tell me where this came, I wrote it down at a conference years and years ago, and I can't remember who said it or wrote it. The basic problem is that it is unreasonable to expect a professional EFL teacher to have serious expertise in business. No doubt, something can be acquired slowly and painfully, but scarcely enough to satisfy many clients' employers, particularly those in the real world. The real world, that is to say, outside universities and college. This real world sector is growing, and so is the problem. And what we're here to look at today is whether that is true or not. Another management training tool, this is to look, it's a performance potential model, looks at people within the company. Down the y-axis you have performance from low to high, the x-axis is potential, low to high. The idea is to move the icebergs, who have low performance and low potential, up to become backbone of the staff, to move the problem children, who have low performance but high potential, to becoming the stars. And moving the stars to superstars. And the icebergs move to the exit, or are outplaced. Our danger, if we don't move with the times, and move with the fashion, and move with the trends, and move with the demands of our clients, is that we probably remain backbones. And there's no movement from backbone to stars, if you notice. So, my question is, and it's what we will ask in our workshop this afternoon, what is Charlie 2010? Or Charlotte 2010? In the workshop, we'll look at the questionnaire and compare our answers with 20 years ago. We'll define the perfect business English course. We'll examine the business content of the perfect business English course. We'll look at the job we do, as opposed to what we think we do. We'll decide what makes a good business English teacher in 2010 and why. We'll assume the 1990 body of the business English teacher and redissect it. Finally, we'll see if Darwin was right. And even the business English teacher has evolved.